KOCT program underwriters are not affiliated with the City of Oceanside. This program is underwritten in part by Waste Management of North County in Oceanside. We are dedicated to serving customers and community as a safe, comprehensive service provider, a good corporate citizen, and a responsible environmental steward. Think green. Think Waste Management. You are watching KOCT's North County Roundtable. On this edition, our guests include City of Oceanside Assistant Manager Deanna Lorson, Director, Communications, Marketing, and Public Affairs of Palomar College, Laura Gropen, Cal State University San Marcos President, Dr. Karen Haynes, City of Oceanside Council Member, Jack Feller.
Welcome to KOCT's North County Roundtable. I'm your host, Alison St from KPBS. On this edition of North County Roundtable, we'll be speaking with the City of Oceanside's Assistant City Manager, Deanna Lorson, about the sales tax increase planned for the City of Oceanside. Our next guest will be Laura Gropen, Director of Communications, Marketing and Public Affairs of Palomar College, here in our studios to discuss the college's new Rancho Bernardo and Fallbrook campuses, plus other plans in the works for Palomar College. Our next guest tonight is Dr. Karen Haynes, Cal State University San Marcos President, here to discuss the new engineering programs at Cal State San Marcos and the latest news from the campus, which is growing to be an educational hub here in North County. Our final guest is Oceanside Council Member Jack Feller. He'll share his opinion on the state of affairs at the City of Oceanside and the upcoming elections. So our first guest is Deanna Lorson, the Assistant City Manager from the City of Oceanside. I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Allison. It's nice to be here.
So taxes is not a very popular topic, but the City of Oceanside is kind of pitching to the residents the possibility of putting in a new half-cent sales tax. What is the rationale, the justification for this?
Well, as I think we all know, Oceanside has a great quality of life and our residents demand a lot of us, but we've really had a hard time making ends meet. So asking the voters if they would like to increase a half-cent local sales tax is a way to provide more revenue for the city to help meet resident expectations, provide for public safety, road improvements, and other priorities of the voters.
Can you explain why it is that Oceanside's having a hard time making ends meet at the moment?
Well, it's actually been a long-standing, from the Great Recession. We've done a lot of belt tightening. We have over 100 fewer employees. We've made a lot of local measures to really control costs, but costs are going up all the time and demands are going up all the time. And really, in order to meet expectations and fully fund what the residents demand, we need some more revenue sources.
So the proposal is for a half-cent sales tax. Why a half-cent rather than a full cent?
Well, a half-cent sales tax would give Oceanside about $11 million a year more revenue. We have about $145 million total general fund budget. That's enough to allocate new priorities and help increase our services to the community without being excessive.
Is this like an indefinite proposal, or is there an end point to this tax?
So it's proposed to be for a 7-year duration.
7 years. But
yes,
I think when looking at the history of sales taxes, once they're in, they tend to stay there, right?
Well, it would have a sunset. It could not be extended or changed without a vote of the people. And 7 years, actually, the city could be in a very different financial position. Economically, we don't know what the economy will be like. Most of the city's long-term general fund debt would be paid off at that point. So it's a good period of time in order to get a good handle on things, provide some enhancements, and then see what the future holds at that point.
Well, that's interesting you say the long-term general fund debt would be paid off. I mean, is that really what is causing this kind of crunch at the moment, or is it pensions? Because we hear that pensions are the problem for many cities around California.
Well, Pensions are a contractual obligation of the city that are putting some pressure on our budget, but really it's service demands. The community is very vocal about all the things they would like to see. There's so many media channels that they're communicating to us demands for better public safety, increased response times, road improvements, and so really it's a response to citizen needs and demands.
Public safety, I believe the costs there are really going up. Is the city taking any steps to stabilize the costs of police and fire?
The city has done a lot. We've enacted some local pension reform. Employees are absorbing all increases in healthcare costs. We've really done a lot to control our costs. But public safety is about 61% of our general fund budget. So it is a large expenditure and it does consume a lot of the funding and priority.
How would this make Oceanside compare to other cities in North County like Vista and Carlsbad? What are their sales taxes like?
So the base rate in San Diego County is 7.75%. Actually, statewide, the average is about 8.5%. A number of other cities have local voter-approved sales tax measures. Vista's at 8.25%. They had a half-cent measure a few years ago. Del Mar's at 8.75%. They just received approval in 2016, as well as Temecula, just over the county lines, at 8.75%. Other cities in San Diego County with extra taxes include Chula Vista and National City, El Cajon. So a number of cities have taken measures forward in the past.
So how much does the city actually rely on sales taxes? Because if you raise the sales tax too much, that might discourage other people from coming to buy things here in the city.
So as I mentioned, the city's current sales tax rate is 7.75%. The city's rate is actually 1%. The other 6.75 goes to the state and the county schools, state and county primarily. So we only get 1% of that. A half cent would put us just in line with actually under state averages, and it's about 15% of our total general fund budget, the 1%. So if the voters, and I mean, it isn't certain that this is going on the ballot yet, is it? You are just asking the voters what they think about this idea. Right. At this point, we are just asking for input from the voters. In order to get on the ballot, the city council would have to place a measure on the November ballot for the voters to decide what they would like.
So obviously, you know, nobody likes new taxes. Mm-hmm. What can you tell the voters about what might actually improve? Or is it more a matter of the fact that you're worried that services might decline if we don't vote in this half-cent sales tax?
Well, as I mentioned, public safety is 61% of our general fund budget. So it's very likely they would get a significant piece of any new revenue to help provide enhanced services. We also have a lot of unfunded infrastructure needs, road needs. We need about $2.5 million a year just to bring all of our roads up to a very good condition. So that's just a couple examples. Other infrastructure improvements and just maintenance needs that we have out there.
So I can't help bringing up the fact that, like, the city of San Diego, for example, has just legalized marijuana sales and has therefore a huge revenue stream that's coming in that might help them to pay for their pay increases for the police force. Do you think that maybe the voters of Oceanside might think, well, should we legalize marijuana and take all the sales tax from that, or should we raise our sales tax?
So actually, the taxes in San Diego on marijuana are also voter approved. That would have to go to the voters. They're projecting $5.5 million a year in revenue to start, growing 5 years out to a little under $14 million. And a 1% or a half-cent sales tax here in Oceanside is $11 million. So by scale, the half-cent sales tax really provides a lot more benefit for Oceanside than a marijuana tax might. Estimates would be maybe $500,000 to $1.5 or $2 million if the voters were to approve a local marijuana tax.
That's interesting. Okay, so the half-cent sales tax is really going to yield a lot more for services. So what has the public reaction been so far? Because you've been reaching out to get people's feelings.
Well, we did a voter survey. It was a poll that was statistically valid. About 1,300 voters were surveyed last fall. About 64% of them were supportive of the idea of increasing the sales tax by 0.5% to fund their priorities. And they told us what those priorities were: public safety, infrastructure, roads being at the top of the list. At this point, we are sharing that information with our residents. We also have an opportunity for residents who weren't surveyed at that time to take a poll on our website, tell us what their priorities are, as well as we have this opportunity to answer any questions, provide any information that might be desired.
Now, up until this year, the City Council has not been in favor of imposing a new half-cent sales tax. So I'm wondering what has changed on the City Council that might make this something they would go for?
You know, that's a good question. I think the City Council has seen the actions that they've had to take to balance the budget over the years. And we do have a balanced budget. We do have funds in reserve. But they've seen the long-range financial forecasts where we would be heading into a deficit a few years out. And I think they realize the reality of that and the need to try to generate some more local revenue.
And of course, Oceanside has a new appointed mayor, Peter Weiss, who, when I spoke to him when he first got the job, he seemed quite positive about the idea of a half-cent sales tax, and he was the city manager, so he's very aware of what the budget is.
Correct.
Do you think that the chances are that the full city council would support this issue if the voters showed that they were open to it?
The city council really just needs to put the item on the ballot so the voters can decide, and that's all we're asking the city council to do, is to consider whether they would like the voters to approve this.
Mm-hmm. When do you think it might come before the city council?
We anticipate we'll have an item before the city council in June, and then that would be for the November ballot.
Okay, well, thanks so much for filling us in. Is there anything else, one last comment about what the city is hoping for with this half-cent sales tax?
Well, we really want to obtain voter input and citizen input on the needs and priorities. And so I encourage everyone to go to our website and provide that input to us.
Great. Deanna, Lorson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now we have to take a short break, but stay tuned for more North County Roundtable.
Tips from Tri-City Medical Center. Try a new health class or support group. Classes are available each month and include CPR courses, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and stroke exercise, cancer support groups and programming, diabetes and meal planning classes, and a free fall prevention course for the elderly. Call 855-222-8262. Tri-City Medical Center. Advanced healthcare for you.
The City of Oceanside has made it easy for residents to find information on all of the city's environmental programs and services through the Green Oceanside website. Green Oceanside educates the Oceanside community regarding water use efficiency, preventing pollution of our waterways, zero waste, climate action, and energy conservation. Oceanside residents can learn about rebates for purchasing and installing water-saving devices in their homes, as well as how to track water usage with the new Water Smart program. Learning how to take care of landscaping without impacting our local waterways, or finding out when the next beach cleanup will take place, is just a click away. Looking up where to take paint, oil, electronics, and other household hazardous waste, or how to compost in your backyard is right at your fingertips. You can also find out how climate action strategies are being incorporated into the city's general plan update and how solar power is being used to power city facilities. A multitude of information and resources on each of these initiatives and more can be found at greenoceanside.org. In addition to the website, Oceanside residents can download the free Green Oceanside app to have environmental program and event information on their mobile device. There is also a list of Green Oceanside business members on the app to allow residents to support local businesses that use sustainable practices that protect our environment. Stay engaged and keep up to date with the Green Oceanside app and greenoceanside.org.
KOCT, North County's channel, has helped provide local television programming since 1984. KOCT is an independent, nonprofit educational media outlet that focuses on topics and issues of importance to North San Diego County residents. Your tax-deductible donation will ensure that KOCT can continue covering local events. KOCT also provides real-world television training and experience for interns and volunteers. Go to www.koct.org or call 760-722-4433 to donate now or become a friend for year-round giving. Thank you for your support.
Welcome back to North County Roundtable. I'm your host, Alison St. from KPBS. Now, Dr. Joylyn Blake of Palomar College was unable to attend this edition of the Roundtable, so here joining us instead is Laura Gropen, who is the Director of Communications, Marketing and Public Affairs for Palomar College. Laura, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So it sounds like Palomar is really on the increase. Tell us, first of all, how many students do you have enrolled? How much have you been growing in recent years?
So we currently are serving nearly 26,000 students in North San Diego County.
So that's more than, say, Cal State San Marcos?
It is larger than
yes,
Cal State
okay.
San Marcos, yes.
And how many have you been growing, like 2,000 or 3,000 every year, or?
Well, throughout the California community college system, many community colleges have seen a decrease in community college students. So Palomar College right now is what we call flat. Our enrollment's flat. We haven't grown, we haven't shrunk any further. We did decrease quite a few years ago, and we are now on the increase as we expand our services throughout our district.
And I know there's been a lot of new building on the campus there
Right.
in San Marcos, but you now have a new campus opening in Rancho Bernardo. So tell us about that, because that's going to be offering places for about 2,000 students coming this summer, right?
Correct. So we're actually opening 2 new campuses this summer, one in the south at Rancho Bernardo, the South Education Center, and we'll also be opening a center in the north in Fallbrook. So that's the North Education Center. So the one in the south, Rancho Bernardo, both of them will be opening for summer classes. So registration for those opens on April 23rd, and our classes will start at those 2 centers on June 11th.
And what kind of classes are you offering? Is there a sort of specialty in that particular campus that might make it different, distinguish it from the main campus?
Right. The South Education Center is really being dubbed the technology and innovation hub for Palomar College. So the summer offerings will include a lot of general education classes, and then we'll be focusing on some of our STEAM classes, our science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So they're going to be mathematics courses and mathematics programs, science programs, biology, mathematics, and really that kind of a focus.
Is that because that's what local employers are asking for, or because that's what students are looking for?
A little bit of both. We do an audit of the community to determine really what the needs are in those communities we serve. And in that particular area, there is a lot of innovation and technology corporations and industry. And so it's really addressing the needs of that particular area that we're serving in the southern portion of our district.
So now, one of the things that I remember reading about this was that there was a bit of a controversy about parking. You know, this is in the middle of a residential area in Rancho Bernardo. I think everybody wants to have more educational opportunities closer to where they live, but people around there are very worried that there's going to be students parking in the streets and clogging up their roads. What's the college doing to try to prevent that?
So a couple of things. One of the things, first and foremost, is that we have about 700 parking spaces that we know will really address the number of students we'll be serving in our first year. So the first year, though, we're going to be offering parking for free at both the South Education Center and the North Education Center to anybody who is enrolled in those centers only. So if students are coming to that center, they will not be paying for parking for the first year. So that really alleviates some of the concerns neighbors might have, because if parking is free, there is no need to park anywhere else but actually on site. We actually, when we purchased that particular site, 27 acres in Rancho Bernardo, it was a 110,000 square foot kind of shell of a building, which is being completely renovated. It is absolutely a beautiful facility. It also came with a 3-story parking structure. So there was already parking that was identified for that particular, which was built, by the way, for really to be an industry corporate sort of building, converted into an education center.
Now, I know that it's getting increasingly difficult to get into higher education because everybody wants a higher education and there's only so many places. How competitive would it be to get into a course on the new campus?
Well, everybody's welcome. At community colleges, we take the top 100% of everybody who comes to us. So everybody is welcome, and we have a number of classes we've identified. In the summer, we're going to be offering over 50 classes at the South Education Center. A similar, little smaller program in the north, but we have quite enough classes for anybody who's interested in attending, and we don't foresee any problem with enrollment in any of the courses. However, I would say that people should enroll early for the best choice.
Because that is one of the problems people encounter, I think, to try to graduate, is to find the classes that they want, right? So there's always going to be some classes that are more full and more difficult to get into. But remind us, what is the benefit of going to a community college, over perhaps a CSU or a UC campus?
Right. Well, again, community colleges serve the communities in which they reside. So I will first and foremost say that it's $46 a unit to attend a community college. It is the best deal around for higher education. So that is first and foremost. We offer financial aid. Many of our students attend through a financial aid package or our Board of Governors waiver, which has now been renamed as the California Promise grant. And then we have had a number of students who came to Palomar College. We had over 800 students join us there this year out of high schools within our district through the Palomar Promise, which was the first year for free. And we started the spring semester with over 600 of those students. We retained quite a number of them, and it's really been very successful.
So I know that is sometimes a problem, that people enroll and then they drop out after their first semester. Right. How is your retention rate?
Our retention rate continues to improve, and I think one of the reasons for that is, number one, we do have an excellent counseling and tutoring program. For example, that Palomar Promise student, that student also was enrolled in our first year experience program, which includes counseling and tutoring and specialized programs to really touch base with them. So those are the higher touch kind of moments that we can determine the students on the right path. Then we have these guided pathway programs that we're developing for our curriculum that is allowing students to really determine what things they need to take to sequence through whatever programs they're undertaking. So we really, within that retention, we do touch them, and we have a number of programs, financial aid, veterans services, specialized programs, EOPS, that really address certain segments of our student population, are specialized for those populations, but really help overall for overall student success.
So you mentioned veterans services. Of course, there's a lot of veterans in North County. What proportion of your student body are veterans? If you're a veteran, are you going to find a lot of fellow veterans?
Absolutely, and we're very excited because tomorrow, Friday actually, on Friday, March 16th, we'll be opening our Veteran Resource Center. And our Veteran Resource Center in the last few weeks has served, or actually since it's opened, so it actually opened officially in January, its doors. Tomorrow is the March 16th is the ribbon cutting ceremony. So for that particular center, we've served over 4,000 people have come through the doors.
Great.
And as far as the veterans, we do serve 1,600 veterans who are on the GI Bill, another over 800 active duty military, and in addition to that, an additional about 2,000 military affiliated. So well over 4,000 military affiliated students at Palomar College. And we're unique because Palomar College actually has a site on Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton. And so we actually offer classes on Camp Pendleton Base, and we offer a lot of the support services as well, counseling, tutoring, et cetera, admissions, financial aid.
That must be excellent for people who are cycling out of the military and trying to make get the foothold back in the community. So of the people who come through your courses, how many of them end up going to a four-year college?
Well, we are the #1 transfer institution for Cal State University San Marcos. We graduated last year, conferred degrees to approximately 3,000 students. And at any given time, as far as transfer is concerned, we're transferring thousands of students to four-year colleges and universities throughout the country. But for Cal State University San Marcos, we are the #1 transfer institution.
Well, congratulations on being part of, obviously, a very thriving college.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been partners with them from the beginning.
So that's Laura Gropen, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Alison.
And speaking of Cal State San Marcos, we're going to take a quick break here, but we'll be right back with the president of Cal State San Marcos, Dr. Karen Haynes.
With Curb Up, Oceanside residents can call Waste Management to arrange for a free curbside pickup of their large items. For items suitable for donation, Waste Management offers 2 donation weeks per year. Residents can schedule a curbside pickup of up to 8 gently used large items, household goods, or textiles. After scheduling their pickup, residents place items curbside for donation. For items headed to the landfill, Waste Management offers 2 landfill weeks per year. Residents can schedule their free curbside pickup by calling Waste Management prior to landfill week. In addition to landfill weeks, each Oceanside resident may schedule an additional 3 landfill curbside pickups of up to 5 large items annually. To schedule your free curbside donation or landfill pickup, call Waste Management at 760-439-2824 at least 24 hours in advance of your regularly scheduled service day. For more information on trash and recycling services in Oceanside and all of the city's environmental programs, please visit greenoceanside.org.
Did you know most men take better care of their cars than they do themselves? Nearly 26% of men 18 to 44 years old in the United States do not have a regular source of health care. Make an appointment today to ensure you stay healthy tomorrow. This message is brought to you by Tri-City Medical Center, advanced health care for you.
Welcome back to North County Roundtable here on KOCT. I'm your host, Alison St. John, and our next guest is California State University San Marcos President, Dr. Karen Haynes. Dr. Haynes, welcome to the show.
My pleasure as always.
So now the newest thing at Cal State San Marcos, there's a new course which I think you're very much in tune with the community and what they need. Tell us about the new engineering course on campus.
Well, and it's the beginning of an engineering program and ultimately will be a school. But as we've done many times, it's really came from creating a group of industry leaders who talked to us about the need for more engineering, our niche in engineering, and we then got a feasibility study to actually help us launch on the talents we already had. So we had applied physics, we have chemistry, so we began to say we can do this in a phased-in approach because engineering is expensive and the state doesn't pay the expenses for engineering. So it really was planned. We got a $6 million grant from the federal government to help launch it, and as we were very pleased, Viasat, who had been at the table with us from the beginning, gave us a $1.5 million gift that will help renovate a building, create an innovation hub within that building. So very exciting, and we will launch with software engineering this fall and bring up electrical engineering in fall of 2019.
So presumably there are a lot of good jobs that you could get with that qualification,
Yes.
probably right here in North County,
Yes.
right? Okay, so this is enabling people who live here to get the good paying jobs and not requiring the employers to bring people in
Yes.
from elsewhere. Now, you just mentioned the fact that the state does not pay for, for this course, and the state does not pay for a lot of things. You were a bit disappointed, I believe, in Governor Jerry Brown's budget. Tell us a little bit about where that leaves you this year.
Right. Well, obviously at this point we don't know where it will end, but right now what he has given us an additional allocation to the system is 1/3 of what our Board of Trustees asked. So there's a $171 million gap. There had been commitments that he would fund compensation increases to our unions. There was a commitment that he would fund $75 million each year for 4 years for us to continue our graduation initiative, reducing time to graduation, improving retention, and closing the achievement gap. And there was commitments that he would also understand that we had other mandatory costs for facilities, et cetera. He did none of that. And if you were to look at the state rainy day fund, if he fully funded that $171 million, it would be 1.3% of that rainy day fund. When we know how important higher education increasingly is to California and to this nation. So we are perplexed, concerned, and now we as Cal State San Marcos being extremely prudent on how we plan for next year.
So I understand that there is not going to be a tuition fee increase for students this coming year. Is that correct?
It looks that way. Next week is our March Board of Trustees meeting. They are not officially discussing it then. May Board of Trustees meeting is literally the deadline that if they were going to increase tuition by state statute requires them to do it in May. So the absence of it happening in March, the fact that our Board of Trustees meeting in May comes exactly at the same moment as the May revise and precedes the University of California's Board of Trustees meeting, we are unlikely to do a tuition increase.
So I know that the staff did get a long-awaited pay increase. Right. The faculty did. So
and all of the other unions settled this year for not as high, but for well-deserved compensation increases, but unfunded.
So what are you doing to cover this gap?
Well, we are a smart campus, so we started in August looking at and talking to our leadership team to take every unfilled position and bring it all the way up to me so that we were cautious about a position going vacant, reducing travel costs. We are now looking at other places where there may be some more prudency. But quite frankly, after 6 years of a recession and money that never came back to the CSU, there isn't a lot of efficiencies or a lot of reserves.
Well, I mean, you have been expanding as well, right? You've been growing the number of students that you accept.
Yes. So we are, a little bit worried, a little bit being prudent, but also knowing that we have been smart all along, and that if we also felt that this might be a one-time shortfall rather than the recession which went on, there are easier places to make one-time operational cuts than that it's not permanent funding.
Okay. Now, I know you have had a very successful comprehensive campaign, and I understand that you are almost at goal, $50 million after a couple of years. Is that right?
Yes.
So, if you're somebody in the community who is wanting to contribute basically to the four-year university here in North County, is it legal to be contributing to a specific course, or how can someone know where their money is going if they contribute to this campaign?
So one, obviously they can designate. So many donors designate that they wanted to go to scholarships, or they wanted to go for some specific purpose in the College of Business, or as Viasat did, to help create the renovation and some of the technology for the engineering space. Can it offset our problems? Not directly, not dollar for dollar, because many people choose to give it to student scholarships. Some of it for some academic programming could go, so that, the creation of a new course, but it really doesn't replace, obviously, permanent funding, which is really where the real rub comes.
Right, right. But somehow you're managing to keep expanding, and it feels like you're building as well.
Yes,
I keep
our
seeing-
public-private partnership, another new building, our largest building ever, has just been approved in January by our Board of Trustees, both linked to the engineering program, so it will be a building we will own after the builders develop it to our specs.
What will be happening in this building?
So in this building, we will move all of our extended learning, continuing education, and also a lot of academic programs. Leaving all of the space they vacate on campus will be for our new School of Engineering, and Viasat's gift will help renovate that space. Other programs will move over there, leaving some other vacated space, because our real crunch is a 30% increase in freshman applications for next fall.
Wow.
Since 3 years ago, and we are obviously running up against space concerns, classroom spaces and office spaces. So
Because demand is definitely increasing.
Right.
It's just that
Right.
the funding is not. Well, somehow you're managing to conduct a miracle here and keep growing and keep very much in touch with the community and providing the kinds of courses that the local community wants for the good paying jobs. Let's just talk a bit about an issue that, of course, is coming up right now, which was the gun violence. And I wondered, was there anything much on campus in terms of a response from the students? We had a day of action
Right.
Very recently here. Did any of the students show up? Or
they have not. There's not been major action and activism by our students. I would say, too, coincidentally, but nice, that Cal State San Marcos was ranked #1 as the safest campus in California and 13th in the nation. So that helps, because I think people feel safer, and we have a lot of technology and police force in place, but that has not risen to an issue yet.
And then one of the other issues that has been talked about on campus is free speech, and not just your campus, but campuses around
Right.
the nation, in fact. But there's been some legal challenges from students who say that their free speech rights are being infringed because the campus is only allowing certain spaces for them to talk. Whenever I go on campus, it always seems very dynamic. But do you have a limit on where people can stand and make their pitch about what they care about?
So there is no limited free speech place. The entire campus really is that. Where the limitations for us legitimately can and should come is, where a speaker may come that might be disruptive. We don't want that disruption to get into the spaces of classrooms, right, and the academic endeavor, where there's public safety and security issues, and those are real costs, right? We may maintain the ability to say that only certain buildings at a certain time can be used for that, so that there can be either not disruption of the academic activities, and or that we can provide enough security protection should discourse go beyond civility and move into what we've seen in California and across the nation.
I think it's interesting because as a campus, I think Cal State San Marcos is really beginning to mature, and the students are not just coming to class and then going home again. Right. There's a real culture of an academic institution that is stirring up ideas and making people think. So I wondered if you'd had any examples of students saying, no, we don't want this person on campus because we don't agree with them. And then the question of, well, yes, but should you listen to what they have to say at least?
Well, we have had some of those conversations, but we also have, I think, been very, very proactive for several years now, and certainly in this current environment, of talking to students about why there should be people. Higher education should be a place where there is discourse and difference of opinion. Disagreement. And what we try to do is continue to talk to students about how that is part of what they should learn, that critical thinking and critically looking at their own belief systems is part of the learning experience, and to be able to differentiate their personal disagreement with a speaker's position and do it civilly, and understand when that speaker might have self-promotion and other agendas, and still provide some places and spaces where we can have that. When we have a potentially controversial speaker, we do proactive things. We talk to students in different organizations using our student government to also get ready for it and talk about where there could be alternative conversations on campus going on so that you allow those spaces.
Because you are a very diverse campus. I mean, that's something you really notice as soon as you walk on the campus. This is great. This is a really diverse campus.
So we really want to protect all of our students' rights to listen to and bring speakers to campus, and we also think it's our obligation to push people who come to our campus to be exposed to differences of political beliefs, religious beliefs, and to know how to do that civilly. And we would actually like to see more grown-ups do that.
Set a good example. Yes.
Yes.
What are you most excited about for the coming year? What do you feel is the thing that you're keeping an eye on and thinking this is exciting?
So one is the successful completion of the campaign, due to end the end of December. We're 92% there, which is only a little bit over 4 million, but the last millions are the hardest to get. But that for a young university will be successful, and it actually is taking a fair amount of my time, but that is successful. This public-private partnership is both necessary for our campus, but with North City developers is another reducing of, it's really blurring the lines between the campus and the community even more. The Quad did it, our residence hall. This will do it even more. That in our system is a very unique public-private partnership, and I will look forward to breaking the ground or putting that first stone in whatever it is for that project. Really, really exciting. And engineering is for us the next piece to continue to also, we will need continued philanthropy to make sure that we don't, in an under-resourced environment, take resources away from other academic programs in order to build engineering. That has been my commitment to faculty from the beginning.
Well, congratulations. I believe you are the longest serving president in the CSU system at this point.
Yes, I am.
Yes, so you must be doing something right. So thank you so much, Dr. Karen Haynes, for joining us on the Roundtable.
Thank you.
And stay with us. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with Oceanside City Councilman Jack Feller.
The City of Oceanside has 3 community resource centers located throughout Oceanside. Each resource center provides a wide array of services for residents and collaborates with community partners to offer these services at minimal or no cost. These services include social services, health and wellness classes like Zumba and aerobics, health screenings, bi-weekly food distribution through interfaith community services, toddler enrichment programs, English as second language classes, translation assistance, computer labs, and youth and community enriching programs. In addition to these services, each community resource center hosts yearly events such as Easter egg hunts, community cleanups, holiday book drives, and National Night Out, which are free to all in attendance. City staff partner with community-based organizations, nonprofits, youth-serving providers, and others to host resource booths at events in an effort to outreach their services to the residents and families of Oceanside. Crown Heights Resource Center is located directly behind Oceanside High School at 1210 Division Street. Call 760-435-3337 or 760-435-3339 for information. Chavez Resource Center is located in the East Side neighborhood at 605 San Diego Street. Call 760-435-3371 for information. Libby Lake Resource Center is located at 4700 North River Road, near Calle Montecito. Call 760-435-3340 for information.
Are you celebrating a very special event? Maybe a wedding or an anniversary? If so, there's no better place to host your guests than El Corazon. Our dining room seats 96 people with a serene courtyard and a large outdoor fireplace for additional seating. We invite you to contact us, tour the space, and learn about our wedding services. Weddings are scheduled on Saturdays and Sundays, but Friday evenings may be available upon request. Book up to a year in advance to secure a perfect location for your perfect day. But remember, weddings are not the only special occasion we want to help you with. Whether you have an upcoming anniversary, birthday bash, retirement party, or an important conference, El Corazon can accommodate your needs. For more information and to schedule the facility, please email Parks and Rec Facility Rentals or call 760-435-5533.
Welcome back, and our final guest on KOCT North County Roundtable is City of Oceanside Councilmember Jack Feller. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So now you were elected to Oceanside City Council back in the year 2000. You've been there for almost 20 years. It's like a long...
It's 17 years and about 4 months, so at this point.
And
so.
who's counting? So
Yeah.
tell us, what do you think is the thing that you've seen that's changed the most in the city since you began?
I think it's the general attitude of progress. We've seen progress in our downtown, out in the central part of the city. There's we've put in a huge park at Mance Buchanan. We've just done some great things in all parts of our city, and the only thing that are probably missing are some road connections and
Like Melrose? Or?
Melrose and Rancho Del Oro interchange, but also things that are important to the community, like the swimming pool. And
Well, talk a bit about the swimming pool, because I know the swimming pool, that's been one of your pet projects.
yes,
And at the moment it's kind of stymied, isn't it? It's like there's been some question about how it could actually be operated. Has there been any progress made on getting that to fruition?
I think we're moving forward with kind of the back of the house type of progress, looking at the things needed.
Talk about the swimming pool. It's the one on El Corazon, right?
Yes. I actually, when I was thinking about it at first, I thought that was a great location for it, just because it's adjacent to the senior center. We have control over the property. It's not part of the Sudbury portion of El Corazon. And it seemed like a perfect fit for the entire community in the center of the city. So I've seen plenty of great options out there, and I think even Peter Weiss was the consultant on that, and I think he's come up with some pretty strong suggestions. I believe that we're going to figure out a way to make it go forward. We were talking about the bonding capability of what we have left to pay on City Hall as part of a way to build it, and then there are certainly ways to fund the operation.
Because, we just talked in the beginning of the show about asking the voters if they would be willing to pay an extra half-cent sales tax because the budget is a bit tight at the moment. So I guess that's the big question, is how could one afford to run a swimming pool as well?
Well, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a city run. We have the municipal golf course is run by the
private sector.
A private sector, and same with airport is run by a private sector. So there's options to help offset that cost. And if you compare to Carlsbad, I usually don't like to, but they have a great pool, and that pool is active all the time with all kinds of activities that are completely helping that funding of that pool down there. So
They don't have the pier, though.
yeah, they don't have the pier.
So let's talk about sales tax. I mean, that is kind of the big issue on the table. And our new appointed mayor, former city manager Peter Weiss, seems to think that this is a good idea. Where do you stand on a sales tax?
As far as sales tax, I have to be very secure in the idea that it would be used specifically for certain funds, projects, and capital projects, not whether it's infrastructure or, I think our police need a new police station. I suggested that 2 years ago.
I thought they had a new police station quite recently.
It's not a new police station, no. It's just a revamped shopping center that is their headquarters, and that was over 20 years ago. They moved there, so they thought that was good for 10 years, and so they're pretty packed in their station. I think that's something that I'd look for, a new fire station one, things that we can solidly support. The problem with the sales tax initiative is it doesn't define those. So if there's a way that we can figure out the initiative, the money just goes to the general fund, and it can go to literally anything that the council decides to spend on.
Is it legal to actually define on the ballot what the sales tax would go to?
It's the difference between a majority vote of 50 plus 1 or 66 and 2/3.
So that's one of the things you'll be deciding this year, is what kind of...
Well, they're promoting the 50 plus 1, so I don't know how they're going to satisfy, if they're going to satisfy my desire. I don't. It remains to be seen.
Okay, so you're not so sure you would vote for what's being proposed at the moment. Okay, well, let's just go to another controversial issue, which is medicinal marijuana, which is also on the agenda at the City Council at the moment.
Right.
There's an ordinance that will be coming later this month, and you have taken a strong position which has influenced that ordinance already, I think. Talk a bit about where you stand on that.
Well, I influenced only that I extended its life if they could provide me with assurance that medical marijuana was the only thing, that there was some regulation that we could possibly impose on the distribution of medical cards. I'm thinking that there's not, from everything I've heard, but if anybody can get one, really, so it's really, it's kind of a catch-22.
Try to get one. So,
not everybody is, no, but but we already allow medical marijuana to be delivered within the city, and anybody that has that type of business can apply for a license and be permitted to deliver
from a licensed dispensary somewhere else.
Somewhere else, yes.
Right. Are you concerned about the amount of illegal activity of illegal marijuana dispensaries and deliveries that are bound to happen if it's banned?
Well,
is already happening.
We've banned everything already. Yeah. We have a full ordinance in place that restricts only to the delivery. So if the citizens, I really can't put the citizens under the knife here as far as that goes. They're gonna the citizens are gonna do what they're gonna do. I just have to make up my mind as to whether there's hope for the future. I think there's so many controversies with this as far as enforcement. Our law enforcement is totally against this, and you can't get a job working for the city if you have marijuana in your system. So I guess those are the sacrifices people are willing to take.
On the other hand, the Planning Commission has just recommended that the number of dispensaries be doubled.
I was quite surprised. That's.
But you voted in order to continue the discussion.
To see what they'd come up with, and frankly, I haven't seen the actual. I saw the presentation that they were giving to the public safety or the Planning Commission, but I think we're going to get a revised agenda item that actually puts us so that we
What is it you would
are
like
making,
to see?
Well, I'd like to see no marijuana at all.
So what was it that made you vote to support the idea of medicinal marijuana?
I think I have probably a great, pardon me, a great amount of compassion for some of the needs. Can that happen? I don't know. I think sooner or later the community, pardon me.
There was some pretty compelling testimony, I believe, before City Council from people who talked about the effectiveness of the medicinal marijuana in some cases. Yeah,
absolutely. The marijuana is a big deal, and if it goes, we have a 5-member council, so it's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so now let's move on to something else that's just very recently happened, and that is that we have a new appointed mayor, Peter Weiss. How did you feel about the way that Mayor Jim Wood was replaced? Would you have preferred to see it go on the ballot, or are you happy there was an appointment?
I think I would have preferred it to be on a ballot, but I didn't think that we could. I didn't think that it would be in a timely fashion, and we'd already been without Jim for since May, so almost, what was that, 15 months?
So do you feel that the business of the city is moving more smoothly now?
Absolutely, yes. Our council meetings were much shorter. I think we're clicking, but not everybody's happy.
Being more functional now.
Yeah.
A lot of new stuff going on. There's also this district elections, so that is going to start with a whole new way of electing city council members. You were elected citywide, but under this new district election system, you would be in a district, like a quarter of the city. What do you think about that?
I felt that was a wrong way for us to be handling this. I think we should have objected strongly and fought the fight, but the thing for me is that you as a voter are going to end up with 2 votes instead of 5 votes every 4 years.
Because
you get the mayor, and then you only get 1 vote in your district. So 4 districts and the mayor at large every 4 years, and so you get 1 vote depending on where you live.
But as a city council person, you perhaps have more intimate connection with your constituents because it's a smaller district.
Well, I'd say so, except that I really treat the city as my district. So in general, I have for 17 years. I've been in every part of the city, involved in everything that people can imagine, and
so are you a bit concerned that districts might divide the city politically?
Well, I think it becomes a let's make a deal kind of government. So, and that's something I'm a little bit afraid of. I see it happening in larger cities all the time.
So when you come to the end of your term, are you going to run again on a district?
That's an interesting question. I feel okay right now, so I don't know if I have plenty to do. I have all those grandchildren that I chase around every day, but I feel okay. And when it gets to that time, will I run for my seat? Will I retire? Will I run for mayor? I don't know. Could be just about anything.
Okay, you're leaving us all doors are still open.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Councilman Jack Feller, thanks you so much for joining us here on the Roundtable.
Thank you very much, Alison.
And thank you for watching this edition of North County Roundtable here on KOCT. Don't forget you can watch or share this episode by going to our website, koct.org. Be informed about your community by watching North County Roundtable. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
KOCT program underwriters are not affiliated with the City of Oceanside. This program is underwritten in part by Waste Management of North County in Oceanside. We are dedicated to serving customers and community as a safe, comprehensive service provider, a good corporate citizen, and a responsible environmental steward. Think green. Think Waste Management.